Here are today's top stories. The peace talks with communist rebels are likely to push even without Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison. The PNP and the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines hold a dialogue to strengthen cooperation in various aspects. Revenues from taxes imposed by the train law meet expectations of finance officials from forecasts. And the Department of Energy donates E-tricycles as an alternative mode of transportation in Marawi City. Good day, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
The peace talks with communist rebels are likely to push through, but without Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison, also criticized by the government for his threats against the Duterte administration. More on this report from Rom Dulfo.
The government is likely to push through with the local peace talks without Communist Party of the Philippines founding chair Joma Sison. Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana reacted to the communist leader's supposed childish tantrums, announcing that the CPP, NPA, and DF will no longer talk with the government. In a recent statement, Sison said he will no longer negotiate with the government, claiming that the country suffers because of the president's leadership. Sison also said it is better to oust Duterte and then restart talks with the next administration. Malacanang, however, belittled Sison's threat, adding that the rebels are no longer as strong as before. Lorenzana says there's nothing new with Sison's threat to destabilize the current administration and claims the communists are using the peace talks to replenish their forces as they push for a communist state. Lorenzana adds the peace talks are more likely to succeed if Sison is out of the picture. He says more communist rebels are willfully surrendering to the government and reintegrating into society because the support for Sison is dwindling. He also accused the founding leader of using the peace talks to sustain his lavish lifestyle in the Netherlands and stay in the limelight. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The NCRPO launched today its new text hotlines for reporting scalawags in the PNP. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde graced the launching held at the NCRPO headquarters in Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig. NCRPO Director Guillermo Elizar says the hotlines are part of the PNP's internal cleansing program. The launch comes following the arrest of 3 rookie cops who posed as PDEA agents to extort money. Elizar urges the public to report police who are involved in illegal activities, abusive of their positions, and those who are not doing their jobs. Concerned citizens may text Team NCRPO at 0915-888-8181 for Globe and 0999-901-8181 for Smart subscribers.
President Rodrigo Duterte has warned mayors to shape up in the fight against illegal drugs and criminality. The president says mayors who do not perform their duties will be sacked and face charges. Again, here's Rom Dulfo for the full story.
President Rodrigo Duterte gave an ultimatum to mayors who cannot solve crimes and illegal drugs in their respective areas. In his speech during the 25th Annual National Convention of the Vice Mayors League of the Philippines in Bohol, the president said he has instructed Interior Chief Eduardo Año to assess top leaders of local government units. He said mayors who cannot control crimes or illegal drugs, whose areas still have high numbers of buy-bust operations with yielded drugs, will be removed. The president also threatened to file cases against mayors who do not perform their mandate to provide safe place for everyone, particularly children. The president said he can also order Año to recommend the dismissal of incompetent mayors and he will sign it. Duterte, a former mayor of Davao City, expressed dismay with the allegedly nonchalant attitude of mayors in responding to the crime and drug problem. He called on local leaders to help him in cleansing the country of illegal drugs, criminality, and graft and corruption. The president meanwhile commended local leaders who work hard to address the social problems, including illegal drugs, criminality, and graft and corruption. He reminds them that as part of LGUs, they are one of the frontliners in bringing the government closer to the people. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The PNP and the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines vowed to strengthen their cooperation in facing various issues. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says the meeting was offshoot of a previous dialogue with Manila Archbishop Cardinal Luis Tagle last June 6. Albayalde says he sought the assistance of the church in their internal cleansing program, where they can help in the values formation of police through faith-based measures. They also discuss the involvement of diocese in the treatment of rehabilitation of drug offenders. The PNP chief also reported the initial findings on the murder cases involving priests. He said the murders were unrelated with different motives and there's no apparent pattern. For their part, CBCP Public Affairs Committee Chair Bishop Reynaldo Evangelista says the church and the PNP will collaborate to help their personnel improve and perform better.
President Rodrigo Duterte is considering to hold consultations regarding the selection of the next Chief Justice. The president said in a media interview that among those he will consult are the justices of the Supreme Court. He will also meet with groups affiliated with the law profession such as the Integrated Bar of the Philippines and the Philippine Constitutional Association. He says he is also willing to take recommendations from the media. Duterte, meanwhile, says Associate Justice Antonio Carpio's name cannot be removed in the short list of candidates despite his disinterest in the position of Chief Justice. The president adds that he cannot have a say in Carpio's decision. Carpio has refused the Chief Justice position by saying he does not want to benefit from the ouster of Maria Lourdes Sereno. Duterte had criticized Sereno for wasting the prestige that comes with being the Chief Justice. Still to come, revenues from taxes imposed by the train law meet expectations of finance officials based on forecasts. The Office of the Vice President connects a local sardine producer with tomato and chili growers in Zamboanga. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Magsisimula ng magsipagtaasa ng presyo ng ilang pangunahing bilihin.
The government is reportedly receiving its expected revenues through the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion or train law. Finance Assistant Secretary Tony Lambino says the government is expecting that the train law will add around 90 billion pesos to its tax collections. The revenues come from raising taxes in products such as oil, cigarettes, sugar-sweetened beverages, and automotive vehicles. This will offset the foregone taxes for this year due to lowering of personal income tax rate. The Department of Finance's Economic Bulletin showed that tax collections from January to May 2018 increased by 18% to 1.07 trillion pesos from 901 billion in 2017. From the amount, tax collections of the Bureau of Internal Revenue reached 827 billion this year, or up by 15%. The bulletin stated that fiscal space expanded by Train 1 and tax administration enabled government to boost investments and growth.
The Tourism Infrastructure and Enterprise Zone Authority is allocating 2 million pesos for the beautification of the Santa Ana Wharf in Davao City. City Tourism Operations Office Head Jean Rose Texon says the funds for the relocation have been approved and the project is expected to be completed in 2 months. TIEZA also plans to widen the area in front of Task Force Davao to give island hoppers a place to rest while waiting for their trips. The agency will also set aside areas for night activities and additional food stalls. Tents from the Wharf's Asian food market will be transferred and reinstalled.
A former policeman in Negros Occidental was killed in a shootout during a buy-bust operation conducted in Barangay 20, Bacolod City. Police identified the fatality as Richard Doliosa, who was dismissed from service in January last year for serious neglect of duty. Doliosa went absent without leave for 87 days during his stint at the Candoni Municipal Police and was also included on the counterintelligence watch list of the Negros Occidental Police. Doliosa, who was identified as drug user and pusher and a gun runner, attempted to shoot the assistant team leader of the City Drug Enforcement Unit during the operation in Purok Avocado Thursday morning. Police fired back and hit Doliosa on the chest. 2 of the former police officers' companions, Jesse Conkengo and Paul Chavez, were arrested. The operatives also seized 11 grams of shabu worth 140,000 pesos. Chief Superintendent John Bulalakaw, Director of Police Regional Office 6, commended the Bacolod Police Force led by Senior Superintendent Francisco Ebreo for the successful anti-drug operation.
The Office of the President reports that it has facilitated the partnership between a major canned sardine manufacturer in Zamboanga City and local chili and tomato farmers. Ayala Seafoods Corporation has committed to source its needed tomato paste and chili for its sardines brand from local producers. Vice President Lenny Robredo says they are replicating the same partnerships between the large companies and local farmers under her office's anti-poverty Angat Buhay program. She said the program aims to bridge big food corporations and local farmers for the supply of raw materials. Robredo cited the project's success in certain areas in Bicol, where a major fast food giant is now sourcing their vegetables directly from farmers. Michael Tiu Lim, an executive of Ayala Seafood, said they are supporting the initiative as they have been intending to source their raw materials locally. Canned sardine manufacturers in the city controls roughly 85% of the sardines market in the country and employs at least 30,000 workers.
The dancers of Tanawan Leyte wowed the crowds and won for themselves first place in the biggest cultural festival in Eastern Visayas. Here's a report.
For blending culture and post-disaster recovery efforts by dancing to rhythmic festival beats, the town of Tanawan won this year's Pintados Kasadian Festival of Festivals, the region's biggest competition of local festivities. Hundreds of dancers of Tanawan's Pasaka Festival, clad in colorful costumes, awed thousands of spectators at the Leyte Sport Development Center in this city late Wednesday afternoon for the annual cultural presentation. Pasaka, a local term for progress, is a cultural expression and manifestation of the town's beliefs and ideals as a people. There's a twist this year, as Pasaka performers told their stories of recovery after Super Typhoon Yolanda through their dance. The group's use of props such as a makeshift helicopter distributing relief goods wowed the spectators, who came to see the presentation of 5 contingents from Leyte and Eastern Samar provinces. This was the first comeback of Tribu Pasaka to the Pintados Kasadian Festival since the monster typhoon struck in 2013 and killed thousands of residents and shattered lives in the coastal town of Tanawan. The contingent defeated the festival's defending champion, the Buraburon Festival of Burawin Leyte. Buraburon Fest is also the grand champion in this year's Aliwan Fiesta held in Pasay City. For the Pintados category, Tanawan's Tribu Mangirisda also won 3rd year in a row, besting 5 other groups. Now on its 23rd year, the Leyte Kasadian Festival of Festivals brings together the diverse, vibrant, and colorful festivals from the different towns in the province of Leyte and other participating festivals from Samar and Biliran, as well as other provinces in the Visayas. It is one of the most awaited events of Tacloban City's Fiesta celebrations this month in honor of its patron, the Señor Santo Niño de Tacloban. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Up next, the PNP says only 1% of loiterers detained by police are sent to jail. The Department of Energy donates e-tricycles as an alternative mode of transportation in Marawi City. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Magsisimula ng magsipagtaasa ng presyo ng ilang pangunahing bilihin.
Trabaho ba kamo? Madami niyan. Sa Build, maraming jobs. Tara na sa Job Caravan on August 12 sa SMX Convention Center.
Only less than 1% of the tambay or loiterers approached by police have been sent to jail. NCRPO Director Guillermo Eliazar says out of the estimated 16,000 tambays detained by police for the past 2 weeks, only 145 of them were arrested for violations of local ordinances. Eliazar adds that the rest were merely reprimanded or told to go home. Meanwhile, about half of those who were detained were able to go home as well after paying the penalties. The PNP's operation against tambay is part of efforts to enforce local ordinances.
Gilas Pilipinas has revealed the final 12 lineup facing Chinese Taipei in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Coach Chot Reyes named Jason Castro, Terence Romeo, Gio Halalon, Matthew Wright, R.R. Pogoy, Calvin Abueva, Troy Rosario, Junmar Fajardo, Japeth Aguilar, Eileen Maliksi, Gabe Norwood, and naturalized player Andre Blatch to the squad that will play tonight in the Taiwanese capital. Reyes brought in a 15-man pool to Taipei with baser Amr, Carl Cruz, and cadet Troy Reich being the other 3 players. The 3 reserves will still be considered for Gilas Monday night home game against Australia at the Philippine Arena in Bacay, Bulacan. Gilas looks to get a win on the road against Chinese Taipei to give the squad a moral boost when the squad battles Australia, led by NBA players Thon Maker and Matthew De La Vedova. The team is already assured of a spot in the second round of the qualifiers.
The Teen Ascals U19 squad is playing in the AFF ASEAN Football Federation's U19 Men's Championship in Indonesia starting on Sunday. Leading the team are UP's Fidel Tacardon, the reigning UAAP Men's Football Tournament Rookie of the Year, and Sanbeda and Palarong Panbansa player J.R. Suba. Assistant coach Roxy Dorlas is optimistic of the team's performance as they are seen to be eager to prove themselves internationally. The Teen Ascals will first battle Singapore in Group A on July 1st before taking on Vietnam 2 days later. The Philippine side will then return to action on July 5 against Indonesia before locking horns against Singapore on July 7. The Teen Ascals will face Laos in their final group stage assignment on July 9.
In continued efforts to help rebuild Marawi City, selected residents were trained to drive and repair e-tricycles. The Department of Energy also donated e-tricycles which will serve as public transportation in the city. More on this from Sweet Lukman.
The Department of Energy, together with the Philippine Information Agency Region 10, provided training for e-trike drivers and mechanics in Marawi City. In accordance with the agreement between the Department of Energy and the City Government of Marawi, along with a deed of donation, has conducted 3 days of training for drivers who receive e-trike units and mechanics who are internally displaced persons. The Department of Energy has donated 200 units of energy-efficient and environmentally friendly electric vehicles or E-trike for the city government of Marawi as a contribution to the Task Force Bangon Marawi and part of the implementation of the Market Transformation Program for the development of the city. Meanwhile, DOE Supervising Science Research Specialist Arnel Matthew Garcia explained the purpose of the DOE program.
Ito pong e-trikes na commitment po ng Department of Energy through our good Secretary Alfonso G. Cusi para mag-deploy po ng 200 e-trikes dito po sa Marawi City. Ito po yung tulong ng Department of Energy para sa recovery po ng mga kapatid po nating brothers and sisters sa Marawi. Ito po yung aming contribution para sa mga Marawi internally displaced people para po makatulong sa kanilang pangangailangang transportasyon. Pangalagaan niyo pong mabuti ang mga ito, kaya po may training para tuloy-tuloy po yung operasyon. Makipagtulungan po tayo sa ating Marawi City LGU para maging matagumpay itong programa po na ito.
The lecture and orientation component of the training was held at Bagumbayan Hall, Marawi City Hall, while the hands-on component was at GMA Integrated Terminal, Marawi City. The Department of Energy is in partnership with the Philippine Information Agency Region 10 for providing e-trike trainings in Marawi City. For PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country.
Yeah, our streets have seemed to be more quiet now.
Lately, this past few weeks?
Yes, it seems safer, you know, sometimes because when you go home late at night, it feels better to know that there's nobody on the streets, so you feel
Not too much
safer.
noise.
Yes,
Yeah, people are probably less on the streets and more inside their homes doing something more productive,
Yes.
maybe?
I think that's the key word. We should find something productive to do with our time because not only is it income generating, but it will also enrich us.
Would you consider cleaning your home something productive?
Definitely.
Right? So if you're
Definitely.
just stuck at home with nothing to do, maybe it would be a good idea to start cleaning up.
Yes, and by
Right?
cleaning your home, you'll start cleaning up your life too.
Wow, that's pretty deep. Okay, so here's another look at today's top stories. The peace talks with communist rebels are likely to push even without Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison. The PNP and the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines hold a dialogue to strengthen cooperation in various aspects. Revenues from taxes imposed by the train law meet expectations of finance officials from forecasts. And the Department of Energy donates e-tricycles as an alternative mode of transportation in Marawi City.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter.
For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites.
And that's your daily dose of the latest news
and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Roses Moroto.
And I'm William Theo. Good day.